I'm Marc. I'm the host of the Channel Chat podcast show, and today I have the pleasure of in the virtual studio of Jenny Hicks, the head of technology at Midwich Group. How are we doing, Jenny?
Pretty good, actually. Yeah, not too bad. Glad to be here.
Great. Thanks for coming on to the show. Now, Jenny, I normally look through someone's LinkedIn profile when I start the show and normally see something where I think, why have they done that and why have they not followed through? And the first thing that jumped out at me when I looked at your profile was Jenny Hicks was at the Royal College of Music studying classical music, but we didn't end up there, Jenny. So tell me the story. What made you start your career in IT, but how come you ended up doing classical music at college?
Well, I think I'm a really common story. So audiovisual so people always say they fell in. We call our industry or our section of the IT industry. It's the biggest, best kept secret. So not many people meant to be here, and I'm really an exaggerated version of that. Why did I go and study classical music? I had something I was good at school. Everyone was applying to universities. Didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I went with that'll do. Put out the applications for degrees at a few of the music conservatoires, and Royal College was the one that I fell for. I actually didn't finish my degree.
Didn't you?
So,
Newsflash.
No. It's appalling now when I look back. I finished my second year exams and then decided not to go back. So what would I say to a younger me? Don't get won over by a central London university. It is so expensive. And I found a job. At the time, I had a couple of jobs, actually. I was driving back home to my parents in Kent to work at a golf club behind the reception desk. During the week, I had a pub job whilst trying to juggle uni in central London and the costs and everything. And I think it was a combination of this isn't where I see myself. In fact, I was asked by one of the careers guides, what do you see yourself doing? And I didn't really know. And they asked me what I saw myself wearing to go to work. And I said a suit. And I don't think many musicians stick on a suit really to go and perform or to go teach music or, whatever those related careers were. So I think that's when I realised I might be in the wrong place. And I became slightly addicted to earning money, and I couldn't turn down shifts. Because I just saw the pound note signs at the end of it, and then you think, what are you doing? I'm going to go full time. I didn't fully recognise that pub wages don't sustain living in Greater London as a 21-year-old. So I needed as many jobs as I could possibly get. And there was a recruitment agency that a friend of mine worked for at the time in Beckenham. And I said, look, the first salaried job, and I needed a salary so I could get credit, so I could look at being a grown up. The first salaried job that came up was a purchasing assistant role at a company called Sahara. And back then, Sahara sold flip charts, dry whiteboards, and they were moving out of the sort of large stationery and office products market and into AV. Reason being, they had their own interactive board similar to what Smart and Promethean used to sell, and then they just signed an agreement with Sanyo projectors, which is funny because it's sort of Midwich's backstory as well. And now they are Sahara AV are in fact Clever Touch, and one of the market leading interactive display manufacturers, which is quite interesting. I went there. I input orders and I told salespeople when products were due in. And the people, so back at Sahara, purchasing was a downstairs office and sales were upstairs. And the sales guys were always winning things like iPads and phones and cameras and holidays, shopping trips with prepaid credit cards and so on. I was like, I want that. But that wasn't something really done offered to the purchasing and admin departments. So I started harping on at the sales manager at the time of how do I get some of that? And they said, well, next time we have an opening, apply. I moved up into a new business role. From that new business role into an account management role, sort of twinned with an external. And I sat back and waited until somebody was ready to move on and put myself forward for an external sales role. And that did it then. Then I was, once I was out and about in the industry and meeting people and customers, I knew I was going to stay here. But yeah, that's a complete and utter accident, and I've been happily here for nearly 16 years since. So
yeah, so no no pre-plan to get into tech, no pre-plan to get into sales,
Nope.
no pre-plan to get into technology whatsoever.
none
Just literally
whatsoever.
fell into it.
Yeah, I mean, I dabbled a little bit in some music production, did my work experience in studios and so on, but it was all around the music, and I liked to game, but certainly not to the extent of a proper gamer. I played the more of the fun games and so on. I had a basic understanding, but it didn't really extend much more past using Photoshop or some music software, really. So yeah.
Jenny, there's been a lot of initiatives done to try and get diversity into the industry, and targeted at females at a young age that are maybe doing degrees that you've mentioned. It could be the arts, it could be music, it could be whatever. How do we, because you fell into it almost, so no one's really maybe targeted you, but how could we have targeted, or how can we target younger Jennies, younger people that are doing those industry degrees at music, and they're thinking, do you know what, I'm not going to really follow that career, maybe I would consider technology. How would it have attracted you if someone had come up to you?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't think I would have completely understood it until I worked in it. It is getting a little bit easier. As a parent now, our children are exposed to the AV technology in their classroom, but it's not a natural thing to ask, oh, how do I have a career in that? Or why is that separate? And I think a big part of that is that we just assume all of that technology comes under IT. So for me, I think it's about widening the knowledge set of some of those who are technically minded, because there's more females starting to go into the IT support sector, DevOps. A lot of females are very creative. You see them in software development, you see them in gaming development, app development, and we also see a lot of content creators. With that comes video editing. So I do think that there's a lot more of a diverse workforce to go after, and the targets for me would be in that little bit music, but mostly graphics design, app design, and content creation area, and to try and pull them in. But it is difficult, and it's twofold. We've got this stereotype, shall we say, that women don't see themselves working in tech as easily as perhaps men do. And then we have the fact that audiovisual within the sort of technology sector is not really known by many men either. So how do we advertise that? And it's an ongoing struggle, to be honest, but we've got to look outside of the industry, and we're starting to see a bit of this in the States now. They're going to what they call the trade schools to target engineers and bring them out of TV satellites and similar and electrician roles and over into tech roles. In the UK, it would be nice to see some of our sort of leading certifications and similar to maybe go after those graphics design students or marketeers that are looking at content creation and so on, who are doing that video editing. So I think the video side of it is exciting, and because you naturally, if you're graphics minded, you're going to be really wowed by some of the AV tech, and the same if you're musically minded. They won't mind me saying, but our business in the UK, Sound Technology, who look after most of the Harman brands, describe themselves as 90% of them are failed musicians. So a lot of us do end up here because we we value good sound quality, and the same with those gamers and graphics designers. They value good video, good displays to show off their work, and it's a natural route. Oddly, you come across a lot of ex-teachers as well selling interactive panels because they speak the right language to sell them to teachers in schools. So it's about outreach, but it's tough. We're all busy, aren't we? How much time can you dedicate to getting the message out there to bring more diversity in?